All right, y'all, let's make something. Here's our plan here of what we're gonna do, the steps kind of we're gonna go through to make something. Let's get started. We're gonna start by picking an idea, a simple idea. Don't get crazy with it. We wanna stay simple, small. Making large software takes a lot of time by a lot of people, so let's make something real small, just a tiny idea, smallest version of that idea, ideally, and go with that. So my idea is like a poll app, like a little app where you can make a poll and then people can say, I pick yes, I pick no, whatever, different options for the poll. That's my idea. That's what I'm gonna make. So next step that I would go with is make a mockup. So let's make one. All right, here is my little mock-up thing. I won't make you watch me make it. Not a perfect little plan. It's just like the basics of giving me a basic idea. I might do this on a piece of paper or a whiteboard. I'm using slides because that's what I have readily available to me. So there'll be like the main homepage that will have all the polls and like a button to make a new poll maybe. And it will show you the polls with like the question and like how, like some kind of bars to show how many votes there's been for cat and how many votes there's been for dog. And then like buttons to edit it or like vote on it or whatever. And then on the vote page, you'll just say the question and have a button for each one. I'm not sure kind of my plan from there. I haven't like mocked out like what the edit page will look like. I don't think it'll be too complex. But this should give me a general idea of what I'm making. Step number 2, done. We made a mock-up. Now I would make a plan for the components. So kind of looking at this, I'd start to think through what components do I need. I'm always going to have, let's make a couple of these. I'm always going to have a app component that will be up at the very top. So this guy will say app, and he'll have everything in it. And then just a general plan, what am I going to need from there? Well, I'm going to need this page probably as its own component, and this page as its own component, potentially an edit page. I will call this one, this will be the home page. I don't know, why not? This is the home page. And then this is the vote page, maybe? Vote page. And then there's maybe an edit poll page. We'll kind of see. So it's either showing the home page or the vote page or the edit poll page, one of those. And then we've also got like a nav bar that we could make its own component. We could make it like a top bar component, something, maybe we'll have something or other up here. So whatever, let's do it. Let's make a top bar component. So why not? So top bar, and then in the homepage component, we will have this button, but we'll have a component for each of these like polls. So maybe a poll card component. So let's do that. A poll card component right here. Poll card, and there'd be like multiple of these. Poll card, and we'll just put 2 for now. Vote page, for now, might just have like 1 component. I don't know, we'll kind of see. We'll see what we want some things to look like. See how it shakes out. Let's start with this, and see how this treats us. So something like this, where these are the components kind of inside of the other components. Potentially instead of homepage, it could be vote page or edit poll page. That's my plan. I've got a basic plan for my components. Now it is time to get things rolling. The next step is to actually make the app. So we're going to run the create React app command. Because I'm probably going to end up using Redux, I am going to use the Redux template when I do create React app. So here in the Redux toolkit instructions, it talks about how to use the Redux template when you do create React app. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do npx create React app, pick a name for my folder, and then I'm just going to put this on the end. If you're not using Redux, you can leave this bit off the end and just do npx create React app and the name of your folder. So I want my app in this projects folder, so I am going to make sure that my terminal is pointed to that project folder. So I just looks like I just need to cd into projects, and now I'm in the right folder that I want to be in. You could also do things like right click and do git bash here if you're on Windows and you've installed git bash, or open in terminal or something just to get a terminal pointed to whatever folder you want your app put into. So I'm now going to run my command npx create react app, pick a name for my folder. I'm going to call it poll app, I don't know. And then I am going to put the Redux template on the end. You could just run it like this, but I'm going to put the Redux template on. Template Redux. That will just add in some extra files that'll just make it easier to add in Redux later. Just a convenience thing. So hit enter, and that is going to run and should do a bunch of work for me and set up my poll app baseline React for me. Alright, it has run, it has done all the things that it needs to, it tells me happy hacking, so I am ready. We can see it's made this poll app folder. I can get rid of this terminal completely now, it's done this work. Here's my poll app folder, and it's got all my baseline set up here. I need to open up this folder in Visual Studio Code. So one option, again, if you have Windows, is the Open with Code button, but you can also open up Visual Studio Code, do File, Open Folder, and select the folder that you would like to open. I want to open this poll app folder. You want to make sure it says poll app right here. You don't want to open up the source or something like that. You want to open up the name of the folder that was just created by Create React App. So I do select folder, and now it is opening up that folder. That's the name should be up here in all caps, and right underneath it, there should only be node modules, public source. You want to make sure you don't accidentally open up a folder too high or a folder too low. It should be the folder that contains node module, public, and source should be right here, and everything is inside of it. Now we have the optional step of connecting to GitHub, which I will demonstrate. So here is my GitHub account. In order to connect my app to GitHub and be able to push it up to GitHub, I need an online repository to hold it. So I will just call it poll app demo. That's what I'm going to name it. And it'll be a public repository. I will share this repository in a link under the video, so you can always look at the code for it. I'm going to create my repository, and now it is ready for a local repository to connect to it. You just need to give the local repository this location right here. So I'm going to copy that location, and now over in Visual Studio Code, I can open up a terminal, so I can go to Terminal, New Terminal. Make sure this terminal should be pointed to my app folder. That's why it's important that this is open here. Point to the right folder. And one thing you might notice right here, it says main right here. Visual Studio Code has already made a repository for me. Create React App has already made a repository for me. So all I have to do is connect these two together. You can do that by doing git remote add origin and then pasting in the location of the remote repository. Now those two are connected, so I'm going to run git status just to kind of see where I'm at. Looks like everything that Create React App did, it has added and committed. So I can do git push. I'll do a -u so that it will save the origin main part for next time for me. So next time I do git push, I can just do git push. I won't have to do the origin main because I did this -u right here. You can leave off the -u, then you just need to do git push origin main each time. So I'm doing git push -u origin main. I hit enter, and it should push that up to my online repository. So if I refresh this, I now see my starter code in here with that very first commit that Create React App did, where it initialized my project. So in our VS Code now, we want to open up the source folder. That's where we're going to put all of our files. And let's make a file called test data. Just not something that you would make like in a production app, just something while we're getting things figured out to give us a sense of what the data is going to look like and kind of a mock-up of it. So let's make a variable const test polls, and this will be an array of objects. So I've got an array here, and I'm going to put some objects inside just to be some fake polls. So we'll give it an ID, probably want an ID property on there, probably like a question property, what's your favorite animal? And then maybe like a potential answers, or maybe just answers. And this could be an array of strings maybe, cat, dog, fish. So this will be one of my fake polls, and in this process I've kind of decided what shape I want the data to have, where it has an ID property, a question property. This will be like, should I get a mullet? And then the potential answers are yes and definitely. So I've got my two polls here, and they each have ID, a question, and an array of strings as the potential answers. I also know that I'm going to want some kind of responses, so I'll make some test data for that as well. Test responses. There we go. Test responses. This will be another array, and each of these will have an ID as well. Everything gets an ID, but these responses need to be tied to a particular poll. I need to be able to look at this response and know what poll does it go to. And ideally, I want to be able to take this array and use the filter array method and be able to filter and just get just the responses for one particular poll to maybe display those in some way. So I am going to put a poll ID on each one of these. We'll say that this one is for the first poll, so I'll do poll ID 0, and then I'll do response, I don't know, we'll do answer, I guess. Answer, and I could store this as an index into this array, but I think I'm going to store it just like as a string. So their answer was dog, and I'm going to copy a couple of these. Let's see here, 4 answers maybe. They each need their own ID, but they will each be for the poll with the ID of 0, and then 3 of them will say dog, and 1 will say cat. Nobody says fish, because who the freak would say fish? So, then we need some more. We need some for this one maybe, so ID 4, we'll just continue on. Poll ID 1, and then answer will be definitely, and so let's do 2 more, 2 definitelys and a yes. So 4, 5, 6. So I've got some test poll data and some test response data, and in the process I've decided kind of what shape my data is going to be. Next step is to install any libraries that I want. You can always install libraries as you go, as you realize that you need libraries, but I know off the top that there's some libraries I'm definitely going to be using, so I will install those libraries right away. So I will we'll bring this up here, and we will do, we're going to npm install, and then you can put any libraries you want to install, just separated by a space. So I want Bootstrap, I want React Router DOM, I need some kind of probably some kind of Bootstrap React library, so I could either use React Bootstrap or Reactstrap. I'm going to use Reactstrap. That should probably do me for now, so I'm going to hit enter on that and let those install. Some of those libraries that I just installed need a little bit of setup. For example, Bootstrap needs to be connected into the index.js. So right before the index.css import, or before any custom CSS import, we want to import Bootstrap. So we can do bootstrap /dis/css/ bootstrap.min.css, I believe. So we import the Bootstrap, and that should allow us to use Bootstrap styles anywhere we want in our code. Another one we need to set up is React Router DOM. In order to use React Router DOM, we need to put the browser router component around our app component. Because I use the Redux template for Create React App, it put in this provider store for me, so I do not need to set up Redux. It also created a store for me, which it imports right here and connects in here. So I don't need to do any setup for Redux, so I have set up Bootstrap, I've set up React Router, I don't need to set up Reactstrap, and Redux was already set up for me. So all my sort of initial setup for my libraries is done. Now I am going to make some empty components. So coming over here to my component plan, I'm just going to kind of set up empty components for all of these and then potentially start hooking them up with React Router and going into the next step, which is getting the basic layout working. So let's do this thing. Let's get into some code. Potentially I might clean up a few things in here. For one thing, I'm just going to delete this features folder entirely. I don't want any of that, which is going to make this mad, so I just have to fix this really quick. Go away, go away, go away, go away. And you go away as well. Okay. It's going to be slightly annoyed that my store is empty, but we're just going to leave it like that for now. Features folder, you can just go entirely. I'm just going to get rid of some things that I want out of my way. This logo, I'm not going to use that. And this app.test.js and this app.css, I'm just not going to use them, so I'm just going to get them out of my way. You could totally leave them. It's not going to hurt anything, but I'm just, you could have left everything I just deleted. I just want it out of my way. So, I got my app.js, which has a bunch of crap in it. I am going to get rid of all of that. I am going to be using an extension. You can see it right here. The ES7 React Redux, all that React Native snippet extension. I will put a link to that under the video. I use it a bunch. It's just very convenient. It allows me to type in RFC and hit enter, and it fills in starter code for a functional component. So just clearing out my app component and getting it empty, and then I'm going to make components for all my other stuff. How I tend to like to set things up is just to have a components folder. That's just my personal preference. So I know I need a top bar component, bar.js. I need a home page component. I need a, vote page component. I need an edit poll page component, and I'm going to need a, a poll card component. Probably will end up making more components from there, but this should get me started, and I'm just going to fill in each of them with just an empty component set up here. So I can just work from that. Okay, that one, and home page, and top bar. Okay, now I can move on to kind of the next step here and start to get in a basic layout. Because I'm using React Router, a lot of my layout is going to be based around that, but I know that, I'm going to put a fragment here because I'm going to put two things in here. I know that I'm going to want the top bar component right here. I will do an auto import, just hit enter there, and it auto imported it for me. I know I'm going to want the top bar, and then I know that under that is the area that I want to switch out with React Router. So I'll put a routes component, and inside of there we will have a route, and I know that I'm going to need a route for the home page, and that is going to show the home page component, and that I'm also going to want a route for the other two pages. So route path equals, what do we do here? Slash post slash edit, I don't know. Polls slash votes. Well, it'll need to be for a specific poll. So we could do slash polls, and then a poll ID, what is it called? URL parameter. A poll ID URL parameter, and then /vote will take you to the vote page. Oops. Same thing again, but this time, is it called the vote page? It's called the vote page. But this time it'll be /edit, and that will take you to the edit poll page. So I've now got maybe the very basics of the starting of the layout. I'm going to npm start this thing. Highly recommend get to npm start as soon as you can. Get to seeing it and actually seeing what is happening here, because you don't want to write an enormous amount of code and then realize it's broken and then not be able to figure out why it's broken. Why is this broken? We need a ton of imports. So I always forget imports, so I'm going to do a bunch of auto importing the vote page, the edit poll page. By deleting the last letter and putting it back in, it brings up that auto import for me that I should have done when I was typing it in, but I always forget. Routes, there we go. Okay, are we happy now? We might be happy now. Let's see. One more. It's one more we're not happy about. So if we go to this one, and let's import that. Okay, now maybe we're happy? Yes, we are happy now. It just says top bar and home page, which is ugly. Also, you want to have that console open at all times. This one is because I got rid of that reducer thing in the Redux area. I'm just going to ignore that one for now. These ones look like they're old. Let me refresh the page. Yeah, they're gone. This one is fine because I cleared out my Redux stuff. Later I'll put back in the Redux stuff, and then this won't be mad at me anymore. So I've got the basic sort of components in there. Now I just need to throw some basic styling in there to get maybe my home page up and running. So let's go into homepage.js over here, and well, actually let's do the top bar first. I like that idea. Let's do the top bar first. This is going to be a Reactstrap nav bar, so I'm going to go over to the Reactstrap documentation. If you just Google Reactstrap, it's easy enough to find this documentation, and I am going to go find the nav bar and find myself some example code that will get me up and running. This one will probably do it for me. Let's just grab one of these, navbar with a navbar brand, with just some text. So I will grab this, there we go, and I am going to drop that in over here, so there we go, and just fix my indentation really quick with an Alt-Shift-F. Yeah, well, margin Y2, I probably don't want that one. I'm going to take that one off. Color equals secondary. Yeah, that might work for me. But instead of this saying Reactstrap, this will say Poll App. I don't know. I don't know. Poll App is a great name for an app with polls in it. So we got my navbar in here. This might get fancier later, but this will work for me for now. Homepage. You know, with how I'm setting up my app here, I probably want to put a container, a Reactstrap container component, which is a bootstrap container, right, around this routes area. And then in each of my routes, I can put rows and columns to sort of set it up how I want. So I got a container around there, imported from Reactstrap. So now in here, I could make this a... I have multiple rows and columns, so I'm going to do, or multiple rows, so I'm going to do a fragment, and then we'll do a row right here with one column inside that will have like the make a new poll button or whatever, and then a row right here with potentially multiple columns inside, maybe for each poll, something like that. Something like that might happen. This one needs a little button inside that's going to let you make a new poll. So we'll do the Reactstrap button component, button from Reactstrap, not from Bootstrap, from Reactstrap. Oh, I need to import row and column as well. Do my auto import, thank you very much, and row. There we go. So we'll do my button right here. Was it a variant? I can't remember. Is it color? We'll just do secondary. This button, there's a button, we'll just have a plus in it. So why not? What do we got? We got an error here. What do we? Something we're not importing, probably. Let's see. No, don't want to scroll. Okay, navbar brand. Oops. Let's go to our top bar and make sure we're importing those. So navbar, import that, and navbar brand, we will import that as well. Okay, that should make it happier. Now it should work. And if we come look at our app, we get this gorgeous thing with a button and a bunch of nothing. Isn't that nice? Now we probably want to work on the poll card component and get a nice little look for a poll card. Because I don't have any data left, or any data, pulled in yet, I might just like put in a poll card right here. I might just, wait, let's do this. Let's just right here, we're gonna put a poll card component just so we can be looking at it. And let's plan that a poll card will take a poll prop on it. And let's just give it, just for funsies, wait, what was my test data? Are you exported? Nope, let me make sure this is exported. That's gonna be important. Export const, that should be better. Now that I've got those exported, I could just be like, hey, let's just fill this with just one poll. We can just like grab this first one right here to just play around with. So we could literally just do test polls and grab the first one. We're just importing it from over there just so that we can start playing around with this and get a sense of what our poll card component is going to be like. We do know that it's going to have a poll prop, so I'm going to destructure that right here. We got our poll prop, and now I need to make a plan for what I want this to look like. I'm probably just going to do a div situation with some bootstrap classes on it. Maybe a, let's see, we can do a border class on there, and maybe a rounded class that gives rounded corners. Why did I do a comma? I don't know. That was strange. Okay, border rounded. Some padding on it, 2, and some margin on it. Margin 3? I don't know, maybe margin bottom 3 and margin end 3. So it just has margin on the right and bottom sides. I don't know, something like that could be good. And then maybe we just have like a little H4 right here that has the poll.question in there. Because remember, what's our data here? We've got a question and potential answers. Potentially responses as well that we could show. I think for now we won't show responses. We'll just have a little paragraph right here, and we will do poll.responses, and we'll just join them. We'll just use the good old join array method and throw them all in here. And just for funsies, we'll put the text-muted bootstrap class on here. I don't know. Maybe that'll look good? I have no idea. I'm not a designer. Okay, poll card. Let's make sure it's imported. Okay, let's go look at it in the browser. And we got a big old unhappiness. I bet that I picked the wrong property. So it's telling me, cannot read properties undefined, reading join. So, and it's line 7 of poll card. So if we go into poll card, line 7, I did poll.responses.join, but I bet that that's not what the data is called. What is it called? Answers. It's called answers. So basically it says, hey, what you tried to call join on is undefined, meaning poll.responses is undefined. And I grabbed just this like first poll right here, and this object does not have a responses property, it has an answers property. So I've got to change this to answers. Poll.answers.join, save that, come back over here, and now we got a somewhat nice little card right here. Woohoo! So that is working, and I have my gorgeous button. I'll probably make that look a little bit nicer. I'll refresh just to make sure those errors aren't still here. Yep, those errors are gone. We can, what do we got here? We can, let's make this primary. Or maybe, I don't know, I like success because it's like, it's making things. Success. And we'll do a new poll. I don't know, just for funsies. And we will put a little space on the bottom of this row here. Class name equals margin bottom 4. I don't know, something to give us some good space here. And then this poll card we're going to probably want to end up putting inside of a column. And we could set up some fancy styling here so it looks good at all the sizes, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to put it in a column and have this column, well, maybe, what is it? How do I tell it is? Let's do just like, a call at extra small. We'll have it take up 4 spots. Let's see that. Okay, variant is obviously not the name for what to change this, but this is looking better. Oh, it needs space above it. So I'll change this to margin Y3 maybe. 4 is a little much. What is this? Variant? Tell me what prop. No, I was hoping it would tell me. I need to go to the Reactstrap Documentation. Okay, if I go to button, let's see, what do you put on this thing? Show code. Color instead of variant. Okay. So I'll do color equals success. And now, if I save that, now a nice little green button. Oh, so pretty. So I've got my home page kind of put in there. It's not dynamically showing the data, but I've got kind of the look of it that I want. And I think probably now, well, I should test and make sure that my other pages are working. So if you do like /poll/ some number /vote, it should take you to the vote page. And if you do /poll/ something or other /edit, it should take you to the edit page. Perfect. Works great. So now I've got kind of the very basics of what's going on in here probably want to move on to the next step now of getting some data showing. So this is going to involve using a mapping situation where we're going to map the data and display it. We'll start by just mapping it statically where the data can't be changed. It's not in state. And then we'll move the data into state when we're ready to start having that data be dynamic. But we're going to connect it up so that the home page will show the data from that test data array, and so that the edit and view pages show information about a particular poll. All right, so we no longer want to just show one poll, just hard-coded in there. Instead, we want to show all of the polls. And we want each of them in their own column here. So kind of this bit, we want multiple times, one for every poll that might be in the list of test polls. I'm going to leave this here just for reference, but we are going to go to the test polls and map each one so that each poll gets this little setup here. I'm just going to copy paste this in here. But instead of it saying poll equals test poll 0, it's going to be whichever poll we are currently mapping. Now, because we are showing a list of things that could change, well, at this point it can't really change, but eventually it could change. React needs a good way to know how to tell these apart, so we need to put a key prop on the kind of top level element for each of these. So we'll do a key on here and we'll do poll.id. That's something that will be unique. Each poll has a unique ID, so we can set that as the key. Now it's basically going to create this for me dynamically, so I don't need this anymore. No matter how many polls are in the list, it will show them. Now, we don't have the ability yet to have the user push buttons or something and change what polls are in the list, but it should show them dynamically. And we can see here that it is showing the 2 that are in the list. If I went in there and changed what was in that test polls array, it would show whatever I put in that array. So step 10 done. We've got a basic display of data working. Let's move on to step 11, making that data able to be dynamic. Now right now that data is not dynamic because it is just in a variable. Granted, we put that variable in another file, but essentially we've just made a little variable outside of our component, and we are just mapping what is in that variable. But that variable is not in state, meaning that if at some point we set test polls to something else, or we push something to that array or whatever, this component would not re-render and show the change. In order to have the component re-render when the data changes, it needs to be in state somewhere. Now there's two main options for putting data in state. You can put it in state using the useState hook that puts it in state in a particular component, or you can put it in state using Redux. Those are kind of the two main options, or at least the two options that I'm going to look at. I'm going to put it in state using the useState hook first, and then I will convert it over to doing it in Redux just to show both options. Can be good practice to do it in normal state first and then convert it to Redux, but you could also you could start straight off with Redux. You don't have to start by mapping the static data. That just can be a good way to just get your hands dirty first before you jump into making the data dynamic. But time to make the data dynamic, so I'm gonna take this out of the way, go away. Let's put it in state first. So I am going to put it right here for now. So I'm going to make a piece of state. We will call it poll list, and we'll make a little function for updating it, set poll list, or we'll make a variable to hold the function that updates it. We'll call the useState hook, and we'll say that the initial value in this piece of state, we could say an empty array, so then later we could put things in it. But I'm going to have it be those test polls just to give us something to start out with right away. So instead of grabbing this, we will now grab the poll list piece of state. It's going to have the same data in it. This is going to get shoved into that piece of state, but it's going to be dynamic. Now I need to import useState, blah, 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 there we go. And now we have exactly the same thing as we had before, but it's pulling from state, which is good. And if we look in our console, let's manage our keys. Didn't we fix that? Did we not? We did fix that. There we go. If we come into our React Dev Tools, we can go into the homepage component and see that we've now got this data in state. Woohoo! What's the benefit of that? It means that now we can make this data able to be deleted or updated or created, all that good stuff. So easiest one to start with is delete. I'm just going to put a little delete button in right here. We'll use the Reactstrap button, why not? What is it? Color equals danger, and it will say delete. And when you click on it, I'm going to make a little function here, const delete poll. Make a little function here. It will take in the ID of the one to delete. So then we can call it over here. We can say when you click on this button, and I'm going to make a little arrow function, because there'll be a little arrow function that will call this delete poll function with the ID of the poll, .id, the ID of the poll that we are mapping here, so whichever poll we're deleting. We can't do this, or it will call that function immediately as it is rendering, which would be no good. We have to do this, we have to give it a function that will call that function with the poll ID as the parameter. So now inside of here we need some code that will update the state to no longer have the poll with that particular ID in the list. There's a lot of different ways to do this. My favorite way to do this is to use the filter array method. It looks something like this. We're going to say, hey, set the poll list to whatever was in the poll list before, but filtered, so that we only keep polls where the poll.id is not equal to the ID to delete. This will correctly update state with a copy. We always work off copies when we are working in React State, with a copy that does not have the one that we want to delete in it. Now, if we save that and go take a look, we can see we have these delete buttons, and if we click one of them, that one is now gone. And we can see that that piece of state is now missing, and it's not there. Now, we don't have a backend, so if we refresh, they're back. This is just our little test data. But the delete button is working. Woohoo! So exciting. One problem though, I don't actually want the delete button to be underneath the card. I want it to be like in the card. So I need to move that delete button into the card. So I'm going to take this delete button, and instead of it just being inside this call, I'm going to move it into the pull card component. Let's throw it down here. That should be great. But we're going to have ourselves a problem. One use import button, but this delete pull function does not exist down here. What we need to do is we need to pass this delete pull function down through props into the pull card so that the pull card has access to it. So we'll just make a prop called delete pull, because why not? You could call it on delete. That's a common thing to name it, on delete. So maybe I'll do that, on delete, and I'll set it to that delete pull function right here. And then over here in pull card, I will destructure out that on delete prop, which will have the function in it. And now I just need to change this to say on delete. And now it should work just the same as it did before. Delete button still works, but the delete button is inside the lower down component. Delete is working. Now let's look at doing create. We want to be able to create a poll. I'm thinking that we will do that in this edit poll page, which makes me realize that we shouldn't call it edit poll page. We should probably call it like poll form page or something, because we're going to probably use it for both edit and what did I do? Poll form page. I got two cursors and it's weirding me out. All right, there we go. Poll form page. And that means also over here in app.js, I need to change this to say poll form page, and this one needs to be fixed as well. Again, as you start to go, you realize that your plan isn't quite right, and you change it, but as long as you have something that can get you moving forward, you should be good. So, poll form page. This now I want to have a nice form in it. Let's set it up first for creating, and then we could tweak it later to make it work for editing as well. I don't know, let's do new poll, and then we could have a form, and in here we're going to want, I'm going to put some divs to just kind of lay this out nicely. We're going to want a place to put the question, put type equals text, and a place to put the, what are they, oh, I always forget what I called it, put the answers, to put in the answers. So couple thoughts. How do I want them to put in the answers? Couple options. One, I could say there is 2 answers and you have to just have 2. This right now has 3, but I could make it have 2. And just have my app only allow you to give 2 answers for the poll. That's a great choice to make when you're just making a little thing. Keep it simple for yourself. Another option is to give them like a text area and allow them to put all the options like separated by an enter, and then use some little fancy code to split it by each line break and get all the potential answers out. I'm going to just force you to always have 2, because I didn't put fish anywhere, did I? No. Because that way I can keep things simple. I can always update this later. I'll just add that to my little to-do list. Update it later to, in fact, like sometimes what I do is literally just make a comment that says to do at the beginning. That way, if I want to, I can just search to do and find everywhere that I put that in this little search tab. And see all the things that I thought I should probably do at some point. So I can just put a little to do right here and do like allow more than 2 answer options. But for now, I'm just going to allow 2 of them, and that's what it's going to be. So we're going to have 2 text boxes, and they can just put in 2 of them, and that's it. Keeping things simple. That's what you can improve it later. Make it the dumbest, stupidest version of it first. Improve it later. That's what we do in software development. We make an MVP, minimum viable product, then we improve it. So we gotta, we'll do a Reactstrap button, be so cool. color equals, this will be success, and this will be create. Here we go here. We probably got some styling we need to do in here. I'm trying to remember. Reactstrap, what are the things for forms called? It looks like you make an input. Nice, okay. Is there like a label? Floating labels, form inline, form. Show me some code. So I have, okay, so you put a form group with a label with a for attribute on it, and an input with a whatever you want, like type and ID and stuff. Okay, you put a for and ID to connect the two. All right, now I know how to do the syntax for Reactstrap. So I can come over here and change this to Reactstrap to get it styled. Make these form groups. Oh, look, wait, maybe I know how to do fancy things. Look at how fancy. Oh, I'm so cool. Okay. And then these will, ready? You do Alt. We'll make these be, what was it called? Dang it. I think it was just called uppercase L label. Yes, that's what it was called. And then these, I don't think need type text anymore. So, not that. Alt. There we go. I'm so cool. I did it wrong, dang it. I did control. I'm not so cool. Okay. Trying to be cool. I should edit that out. Input. Reactstrap. There we go. The type is just text, and I don't think you need to put that on there. So we just need to hook these up with IDs. Well, this one needs an ID. So ID equals question input, and this will say label for equals question input. It doesn't make sense to put a for on this one because it has two inputs that go with it, so can't really connect those two. All right. Now, if we go to our page here, what was it? Polls. Please edit. That's the one we have right now. Okay, yeah. We probably need a space between these two, but that looks decent enough. Maybe a little bit of space around that, and that's fine. You know, I do bare minimum styling, just barely not horrendous. That's my metric for what I'm going for. So I'll put a class in this. Class name equals margin Y, 3 to put a little space above and below it. And then we'll put a class on this to have a margin bottom of 2 to put a little space between the two of these. Okay. Yeah, so pretty. Wow, perfect. Okay. One thing, we really don't want this to be where you go to make a new poll, right? I need to make another path that goes to this for when you're making a new poll. So I'll go to my app.js and I'll just be like, you're fine, but that's not what I'm going to use right now. And let's do just poll/new and do poll form page. We might be able to just do this, or maybe we need some sort of prop on it, but we'll see. For now, we'll do that. And that should show this poll form page. And for now, we're just hooking it up to work when they are creating. Again, make it crappy, fix it later if you need it. So what we need to do is when they click this button, we need it to make a poll. We need to make one. And we also need to hook this up to work as a form. There's different options to hook this up to work as a form. For sure we're going to need this regardless. Two are you doing it yourself or using Formic. If you smell it. Okay. Are we happy? You should be happy. Handle submit. 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 There we go. Happier. I'm going to hook it up by hand, but you could also do it with Formic. So I'm going to make a piece of state for my three pieces of information. That's what I'm going to do for now. That's going to be the simplest option in terms of complexity. So let's make a piece of state for the question. Let's do question value, set question value. We need a piece of state that will keep track of the in progress form data while the user is working on it. Answer 1 value, set answer 1 value. It's just going to be an empty string. Answer 2 value, set answer 2 value. Again, This is the simplest, dumbest possible way to do this, and that's a great way. Let's do it. Let's keep it dumb. So const new poll will be then, when they click this button, then we can sort of recreate the new poll here by saying that the question should be whatever's in that question value piece of state, and the answer should be an array that has answer 1 value and answer 2 value in it, because that's kind of how this data is formed. Now we also need an ID, which can be a little bit annoying to hook up an ID and make it do that correctly. We'll handle that in just a second. Did I not import that? Come on, there we go. So I need to hook these up, which means I need each of these to have, no, each input to have a value hooked up to the piece of state, question value, and an on change where when it changes, I might just do it inline right in here. It takes that event object and sets the question value to be whatever the target of the event was, which will be this input, whatever the value of that target is. This will hook the input to that piece of state and not allow them to get out of sync from each other. They are hooked, double hooked to each other. So this will always be what's in that piece of state, and if this ever changes, the piece of state will change, and then this will be what's in that piece of state. We need to do the same thing for each of these inputs, but instead this should be answer 1 value and answer 1 value, and then this should be set answer 1 value. That's how you spell answer. You gotta say it answer, and then you can remember answer 2 value and set answer 2. Is that getting annoying? Too bad. Okay. Let's go look at it. So now we should be able to go to /poll/new. No, it'll be the same thing, but and now if we kind of look at this poll form page, we can see our two pieces of state. If we change the question, that is changing. So I start typing in like, is answer annoying? And then there could be the answers yes, no way. And we can see that it is updating those pieces of state as I do that, so that if I hit create, the right things will be in those pieces of state to make the new poll based off of that data. All right, all well and good, but how do we get this new poll into this state right here? This is the state that has the poll data. This is where we want it to show up. How do we get it in there? And we've got ourselves a problem. Coming back and looking at our plan over here, we need this to rename this to poll form page, but it's gonna be the same thing. Let me just put one of these in just to help illustrate. Now remember, app is either going to show homepage or poll form page, right? So essentially, homepage and poll form page are siblings. And in React, siblings don't get to talk to each other. It's a very toxic family. So siblings cannot talk to each other. That piece of state poll list, we make a little some here to just make our piece of state. That piece of state poll list cannot be accessed except by homepage, or homepage can also pass things down. So this piece of state is here in homepage. And remember, homepage is passing down a function that updates the piece of state to pull card. Remember that like on delete prop situation? It can pass down here. Well, let's pick a different shape for props. It can pass down here. That is, nope, don't like it. Does this matter? No, but my brain likes it. Okay. That on delete prop can get passed down. It's a function that can update the piece of state. That can get passed down. Things can flow down in React. They cannot flow over. It's like water. Everything flows down. It doesn't flow perfectly sideways, right? Water kind of does that. Whatever. Poll list up here is the data. We can pass down that data, and we can pass down functions for updating that data, but we cannot pass them sideways. So if you have a situation where you have siblings that need to access, change the same data, you need to pull that data up. You've got to, it's called lifting the state. We've got to pull that data up, and then we're going to have to pass that on delete function down twice. we're going to have to give it to homepage, and then homepage will give it to its pull card children. And then we can make another function, and we can make another prop over here, and we can give it to pull form page because it can flow down from app. Maybe that makes sense, maybe that doesn't. Let's go write in code and see if that helps. All right, so this piece of state is going to get pulled up. We are going to pull it into app.js now. Now that piece of state is up here. Only thing we need to fix is that this needs to import the test pulls over here. And we no longer need to import the test pulls over here. We also don't need to use state anymore right here. And we do need it over here. We're also going to have to give that pull list down to the home page, right? That's another thing that has to flow down. So I'll just call the prop pull list. Why not? And this function here calls set pull list. So we really got to pull this one up as well. Because this is the function for updating the state. It should be up in here. So we will also pass down, make another prop on delete. We'll give it that delete pull thing. And now we can destructure these out. We called it pull list and on delete. And actually, because we picked the same names, well, pretty close, we need to change this to on delete. So now we are passing down the pull list data right here to be mapped, and that on delete function, we're passing it down twice to get it down to the pull card so that it can delete them. That should still work. Let's take a look. We rearranged, but now let's check that we didn't break it when we rearranged. This happens all the time in programming. You rearrange and you just want to check, did I make a mess? And if you did, you just fix the bug. But we're showing the data, that's great. So we can see that app has the state, it has the data in it. And if we come down to homepage, homepage gets that pull list in through props, the data, it maps it, delete, it passes down to its pull cards, which get that on delete and the particular pull to show. So that's looking all good. If I click the delete button, it is working. We can see up here in app that the state, oh, there we go. The state has updated and now just has one pull in it. Sweet. All right. All that work and we didn't even make any progress. It's just working the same again, which is really common in programming. But now we could make a function for creating a pull. Let's do const create pull equals new pull data. And again, we want to work off a copy. So one way I like to work off a copy is to use the concat function, or you can do the spread operator. We'll do concat. So we're going to concat that new pull data into our pull list. And now that one should be on the end. But we need to give it an ID. So I'm actually going to do this. New pull equals. And I'm going to make a copy of the new pull data. This is one way to make a copy of an object. We use the spread operator to get all the insides of the object and put it in a new container. So I'm going to make a copy of it with an ID on there. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to put the ID first for no good reason, just because I want to. I just like that in my brain. Does not matter though. ID, we need some way to like give new IDs. We just need a way. What I'm going to do is just make a crappy little variable. I'll start it at 0 and then just each time we make something, I'll increment it. This is a little fancy trick here. It'll increment it and it'll put it in this ID property so that next time it'll be one more and we'll just keep getting new IDs. Hopefully, all we need to make sure is that they're unique. Hopefully that will solve my problem and make them unique. We'll see. This should now make a copy and then we'll put that copy with the ID in there. Now, why did we make a copy instead of just doing new pull data dot ID equals next ID plus plus or whatever? One, it's safest to make a copy, but two, where did that new pull data come from? Sometimes, if you're not careful, that new pull data can end up being something in here that shouldn't be changed. Now, in this circumstance, it's not because we just made this object right here, and that's the one we're going to give through. But sometimes it is, so you want to be kind of careful with that. Again, just something to keep in mind. So we made a copy, added the ID on it, and then we're going to concat it on the end. So now we can give this down to the pull form page. Do on create equals that create pull function. And now in the pull form page, we will destructure out that on create prop, and we can call it on create with that new poll data. I'm going to call this variable new poll data because why not? Okay, let's see if that works. Won't it be exciting if this works? 3000/post/new. If I come in here, thinky, ooh, we got, oh, posts, is it not? Polls, oh my gosh, I was like, why is that not working? Polls/new, why do I always want to do posts? So, we'll do a question, is answer annoying? And the answers are yes, and maybe. I'm going to hit create, let's see what happens. Ooh, onCreate is not a function. Oh baby, let's go look. Okay, so right here it's saying onCreate not a function. Ooh, I know what the problem is. This is tricky. So this one is not getting a prop called onCreate is probably what that means basically. Basically it's saying, hey, I tried to call this function right here, but it wasn't a function. I'm assuming it was undefined. We could always do a console.log and check, but I bet it was undefined. So let's refresh this really quick here and hit create. So we console.logged out what was in that onCreate prop, and it is undefined. That makes me think that we're not setting the prop like we want to. If you have a prop that is undefined when it shouldn't be, you need to go find where you are using this component. Where are you using it, like it's HTML, to find if you are giving it the prop like you want to. So where are we using poll form page? If we wanted, if we can't remember, we can do this, poll form page. You can even put like a little this in front, because where are we using it like HTML? It looks like there's two spots in app.js. Let's look right here. Right here and right here. Now, this one has onCreate set. This one does not though. And if you remember, this is the URL we're going to, not this one. So this is the element that is getting rendered, and it does not have the onCreate set. So I put the prop onCreate on the wrong one. Probably on this edit one, we're going to need that onCreate anyways. So I'm going to take it and put it over here on this one. Save that. Now, if I refresh this, is answer annoying? Yes. Or all the time. And we do create. Hey, now it's console logging out something that looks fine. And if we come back here, will that take us back to pull out? It refreshed the page. We need to fix it. We need to make this take you back to the list of polls without refreshing the page. Because remember, if we refresh the page, it resets everything, so we don't know if it did submit it or not. So let's fix this so that this isn't a normal link, but it's instead a React router link. We also want this button to take you to that new poll page, and when you submit the new poll, we probably want it to take you back to the poll, the home page. So we need this new poll button to be a link. Now we could switch this to a link, but one thing that might be the best option here is just to programmatically have it link to another page. So just say like, hey, when you click on this, we want to do something. I'm going to put a little empty function right here for just a second here. And there's actually a hook. I believe it's called useNavigate. Yep, that looks right. useNavigate. This function right here will spit out a function. It's going to spit out a little function here. And that function lets you navigate, force it to navigate to another page. So right here I can say, hey, please navigate to, and it's going to be /posts/new. We'll see if that works. And then also on this poll form page, when we create, we want to do a navigate here as well. So we need to call that hook again. Const navigate equals useNavigate. We could call the variable anything we want, but it makes sense to call it navigate. It would be weird to call it something else. Navigate to, and we'll go back to the home page. I think this will work. We'll try it. And then there was one other thing we want to do. In the top bar, we want to have this. Now we've got a bit of a problem because right now this is a normal link, and we need some way to force navbar brand to not use a normal link. So I'm going to go look in the documentation. If I go to the navbar section, where are you? Here we go, navbar section. And I need to look at navbar brand. Here's this thing that says brand right here. Okay, navbar brand. I'm trying to see if there's anything here. Oh, wait, here it is. Navbar, nope, that's navbar. Props, navbar toggler, navbar brand, tag. Set a custom element for this component. By default, it's an A, but it looks like we could change it to something else. So let's do that. So I'm going to put the tag prop on here and set it, and I bet I can just set it equal to a link element from React Router DOM. And we just need the to prop on there instead of the href prop. And I think slash should work because React Router link tags have a to prop on them instead of href. That should hopefully fix that. Let's go see. All right, let's try out our new links here. Let's just refresh to make sure we're good. Now if we click on poll app, yes, it came back here and it did not refresh the page, which is awesome. Now this link should work, take us back to the home page. This should take us to the new poll page. All right, I did post/new again. Why do I always do that? I don't know. Let's go back. Polls/new, save that. Now we can go back to the home page, we can go to the new poll page, and we can say blue or red. And we can give the answers of blue and red and do it. And it was created. Now, we've got two with the same key, 0, because we sort of had some pre-filled, and our little thing put them in our little next ID variable right here that helps us get a new little ID number right here. Starts at 0, meaning that the first time we make a new poll, it gives it the ID of 0, but our test data already has one with the ID of 0, so it gave us that error where it said, hey, you have 2 with the ID of 0, which is not what we want, like 2 keys with the ID of 0, because in our home page, we use the ID to give each of these a key, and then you have 2 with the same, which is going to cause issues in other ways too, right? Because we delete by the ID, so if we have 2 with the same ID, that's not going to be good. We probably wouldn't use this in a real app. The ID, you'd either use like some sort of ID library, like UUID, or the backend would give it an ID, like the database on the backend would give it an ID. But just so that we don't have any issues while we're playing around with this test data, we also wouldn't have test data preloaded in. But just so we don't have any issues, we're just going to start at 5, so that no matter how much I play around with this, they'll never have the same ID, hopefully. So now, let's just make sure this is all working correctly, okay, so we can delete things, we can do a new poll, type something in, hello, goodbye, do create, and it saves that new one shows up fine, we can delete this one, we can delete the new one, and it all works like it should. Woohoo! Look, you gotta celebrate when you get things working, right? It's a huge endeavor here. So we have done deleting and creating. I do want to show updating just to kind of show what that could look like. So let's do const, let's make the function already because we know we're going to need it. Updated poll data, and then we need some code here that's going to update a particular poll. So one little trick that I like to use is map, where you map each poll either to itself or to a new updated one based on the ID of the one that you want to update. So we're going to say, if this poll.id, we'll use a ternary operator. If this poll.id, this poll that we're looking at right now, if it's equal to the updated poll data.id, then we want to map this poll to that updated poll data. We'll call it updated poll because we're going to assume it has everything it needs on it. Well, actually, you know what? Just to make sure we're good, let's do this. Let's do like a ... for whatever's in the poll. Let's make a copy of the poll, and then let's overwrite it with anything in updated poll data. That way, just to make sure it all goes nice together. So we're going to make a copy with everything in poll, and then anything that's also in poll data, updated poll data, will overwrite any of the properties that came from poll. That way, it'll have everything plus anything that got updated will be updated. And then if it's not the one that we care about updating though, we'll just map it back to itself. So it's a ternary operator where we map each poll to if it matches a new one that's updated or the same one, no change. It's a little complex in there, but basically it's some code that will make a copy of poll list with one of the items updated to a new object that's updated, which is how we can update state by working off of copies, which is what we need to do. So we've got that. That looks good. We got that function. We're probably going to need to give that to poll form page on update. Let's update poll. Because we're going to use this to update as well as create. So when we use it to update, we're going to get the poll ID. When we use it to create, we're just going to make a new one. One thing I'm thinking is that rather than make two props, one on create, one on update for the same thing, let's just call it on submit. And then it can be the same either way. It can just, this code that we have over here can be the same either way, where it takes the data together and we can get rid of that, we don't care about that anymore, and calls it, but instead of doing on create, let's do on submit. So if it's the one that we're looking at because we went to the edit path, then on submit will be the update function. If it's the one we went to because we went to the create path, then on submit will be the create option. Either way, it'll take in that data and either create a new one with it or update it with it. One thing we have to make sure is that the ID, well, I guess we need an ID on here to know which one we're updating. So that's the one thing that we'll need to update. I might just come over here and be like, to do, put ID on new poll data if editing, just to remind myself. So now I just need to make this work if we are editing. If we are editing, the way we know that we are editing is if there's a poll ID up in the URL up here. I could also do a prop that says like editing or something like that. But I'm going to see if I can just do it based off this. That's all I'm going to try. So to get a URL parameter up here, to get a URL parameter, we use the useParams hook from React Router. So we'll do const, and we can destructure out from the params object any params that we want. We want one called poll ID, so let's destructure that out. Poll ID from useParams. Now, this might be undefined. If we are creating, then that will be undefined because it won't be able to get one out of there. It won't be able to destructure a poll ID from an object of all the URL params because there are no URL params. That would be an empty object. But it will be able to destructure it if we're editing, because we're using the same component either way. We could change these out, but I don't know. I'm just going to try this and see if it works, see if I need to pull these out into different components of some way, some sort. So, could make sense to pull them out, honestly. Let's see where we get and then see what we want to pull out maybe. So we pull out the poll ID. If there's a poll ID, then we want to set the ID on here. In fact, we can just do this, and ID will either be undefined or it'll be whichever one we pulled out. We do want to make sure we turn it into a number because our IDs are numbers. So let's do, let's just like overwrite poll ID with the results of calling parseInt on poll ID. Which means this could get set to not a number, but if we're creating one, we don't care what's in ID anyway. So, oh, do we? Oh, actually, that could cause an issue. Let's do a little check right here. If poll ID is something truthy, then we'll put the poll ID. If not, we'll put undefined. Let's try that. We'll try that. Or we can also do it up here. If poll ID is something truthy, then we'll parse it. If not, we'll just set it back to undefined. I don't know. We could do something like that. And then we could just put this down here. We do want to make sure, you remember I put this first? That means new poll data will overwrite it. I should actually put it second, so look at that. Bad choice. Okay, we'll do that then. We can get rid of that comma. Okay, so there's a chance we'll want to wiggle with some of these things, but let's look at this. So the one thing we need to do is we need to go get the poll with that ID, which means that poll form page needs access to all the polls because it might need to go find the one with that ID. at least if it's editing. So let's do poll list equals poll list. So now over here in my poll form page, we'll just destructure that out, poll list. I am thinking we want to separate this out though. I'm thinking we want a component for just the form bit of it that's going to be the same between editing and creating, but then two different components, one for the edit page, one for the create page. I'm gonna see what that does for me. Let's do poll edit page.js and poll create page.js, and then we'll just call this one poll form.js. So I'm going to do some restructuring, which is a very common thing to do as you realize what you need. So over here, that means I will change this. This will be poll create page, and this will be poll edit page. I'm going to need to import those. Let's fill these in so I can import them. Fill that in with my handy dandy extension. Import and import. Now let's do a little surgery here. Now we want this to be just the form bit of it, just that, nothing else. So maybe this bit will go in the poll create page. Let's dump that in there. We probably need some kind of row call situation, huh? Let's do row and call. I don't know. We'll just do this. Put this H2 straight in here, and then we will use that poll form component right here. We're gonna need to hook it up, but then in the poll edit page, it's going to be very similar, and we are going to we're going to use the poll form component here as well. That way we can kind of have two different sort of wrappers around it to treat it in two different ways, because one of them is going to one of them is going to go get information from this URL here. So I'm going to take this bit, and this is just going to be in the edit one. It's not in the create one. We'll pass this on. So these will each need to take that on submit prop, and this one will need to take the poll list as well. And this one will just take that on submit prop, because those are the props that we gave it over here. So on submit, and this one takes poll list as well. So on submit, and we'll pass down that on submit. So on submit equals on submit, because poll form is still going to need that on submit. This would do on submit equals on submit. There we go. There we go. That okay. So this one doesn't need poll list anymore though. We're still going to need these pieces of state. We're still going to do this navigate. We already did that bit. So the handle submit can still be the same. It's still going to call that on submit and do the navigate thing. This can all be the same because this is going to be the same either way. There's one thing that we need to change though. This is having it always start as an empty string. There might be an initial value to put in there. So let's do something. Let's put an initial values prop right here, and let's assume that that's going to be an object. In fact, let's well, like that could be a poll or whatever. So let's say initial values dot question should be the state here. The initial value of this piece of state should be whatever initial value says it should be. Values dot answer 1 and initial values dot answer 2. Now we need to supply that in both the edit and the create page. In the edit page, that needs to be the actual poll, right? It's going to be a poll that we get. We'll need to do that in just a second. In the create page, it should just be some empty string situation. So we'll put a second pair of curly brackets in here because we're passing in an object, and we will do question. We'll have the initial value of an empty string. Answer 1 will have the initial value of an empty string, and answer 2 will have the initial value of an empty string. Oh, this we'll need to we'll need to wiggle it just a little bit. Actually, I just realized because yeah, we'll get to that. So let's go get the poll. We don't need to do this anymore because we know it's going to have a poll. At least it should. If it doesn't, then we got a problem. So in here, we'll go find the poll for this ID. So we'll go into that poll list and do find, and find the poll where that poll's ID is equal to whatever's in that poll ID URL parameter. So we've got that. Now we can say, hey, for the initial values, question should be whatever poll says it should be. Answer 1 should be poll.answers, and then like index init 1 probably, and then answer 2 would be poll.answers and index init 2. So poll.answers, index init, sorry, 0, my bad, not 1. What? Answer 2 will be poll.answers because it starts at 0. So we got to do poll.answers 0, poll.answers 1. Okay. Something like this maybe will work. Let's kind of see. Let's see how this goes. This edit page shouldn't say new poll. It should say like edit poll, I guess. I don't know. There's not really like a name for the poll. There's only a question. So we'll just do edit poll. Okay. Poll ID is not defined. Poll ID, that is defined. Oh, on this form, huh? That ID. Maybe we should make a little change. We'll do that in just a minute. How should we get the ID through? That's a little question. What I'm wondering is if, no, I kind of want it in here. Now I'm trying to decide, like, how do I get the ID on here if I'm editing, but not have it on here if I'm creating? And how do I get the ID down to this poll form? Let's give it an edit ID prop, and we'll set the ID to edit ID. Maybe we'll do that ternary operator. If there is an edit ID, we'll set it to edit ID. We'll just put edit ID, I guess. We'll put edit ID. And then poll edit page, we'll give it that edit ID. So edit ID equals poll ID. So it's getting a little wordy, so let's break this out a bit. Make it a little easier to read here, just to help. Okay. So what do we got here now? How's this looking? What are we mad at? Poll create page needs something. This was a little bit of a crazier rearrange, but kind of fun. So I don't know. It's not helpful. You can just ignore it, but just sort of showing some of the things used parameters defined but never used. Over here, we don't use this anymore. Go away. Showing kind of how we build software by like trying things out, rearranging, pulling something out and putting it in a new component, because seeing that we kind of need a kind of poll form page was getting to be split in two directions too much by using it for both edit and create. I didn't want that. So by breaking it out into two components, now I can still take the part that I'm reusing and put that in its own component and use it in both of these. So I don't have repeated code, but each one can work a little bit differently, where this one goes and gets a particular poll to have as the initial values, and this one just has empty initial values. Let's see if this works. Let's see what it thinks of it, what the browser thinks. Okay, so let's refresh this page. All right, we got nothing. If we make a new poll, this is a new poll with answers. I am new. I'm so new. And create, that's looking good. Now, we don't have a button yet for edit, but we should be able to just like fill it in. 3000/polls/0/edit. Let's try that. Okay, this looks good. What's your favorite animal? Answers cat, dog. Let's change this to fish. And let's do what's your least favorite animal. And this will be dogfish. Okay, and that still says create, so we need to fix that. Probably what that will mean is we need to give another prop to the form to say what the button should say. But let's hit this. That looks good. So it updated to fish and dogfish, and what's your least favorite animal? That is awesome. That has updated like I expected. Did the new one go away? Did I delete that new one? No, I can't remember. Did I delete it? Great. If I come, oh, I refresh the page. I refresh the page because when I typed it up here, that's gonna refresh the page. I was freaking out. Okay, let's go fix the problem of the edit button. Well, one, let's get an edit button on each of these. Let me put an edit button in each of these like cards that navigates to 3000/polls/ whatever the ID of that one is /edit. So we need that, and we need to make this dynamic so that it says create when we're creating and maybe save when we're editing. Okay, so we gotta go to pull card and we're gonna put in an edit button. There's our delete button. I'm gonna copy this for a second. We're gonna have this one be color be, I don't know, info. And when you click on this one, it's going to navigate. So we can do that navigate thing again. Where we do const navigate equals use navigate. We could absolutely just use a normal link here. I just like the look of a button, and it's kind of hard to make it a link but look like a button. You can, but I'm just going to do this. I kind of just want to demonstrate that you can use navigate too, and I just feel like using it, so I'm going to /post/ and this is where I need to put the ID. So I'm going to do like plus poll.id, nope, poll.id. Plus, and then it's going to be like /edit. I did post again. Wow. My brain loves posts. Okay. Poll /poll.id /edit. Okay. Now hopefully that button will work. We'll test that in just a minute. But we notice that the poll form, it always says create here. And we want that to be dynamic between the edit and the create page. So I'm going to put another prop in here that is like button label. And rather than saying create right here, I'm going to use that button label prop. And then over in the edit page, I will say that the button label should be save. And on the create page, I'm going to say that the button label should be create. I could make it save for both of them, but that's kind of fun. I'm going to make it a little bit dynamic. Let's see how that worked. All right, coming over here, that already looks better because it says save there. Let's see this. Now we've got an edit button. Looks like it needs a little space, but if we do edit on this, what's your favorite animal? Do edit on this, should I get a mullet? Should I shave my head? No, definitely not. Let's see. Save this. We can see it has changed. We can make new ones. Okay, so we have got create, edit, and delete all working. I just want to do on this pull card. It's just bugging me. It's just bugging me. Close. Margin start too. So we've got create, edit, and delete working. There is a lot of ways you could get create, edit, and delete working. This is just one of them. Just one way. One way you could set it up where I have a different page for edit. You could have a modal. I have it where it's using the same form each time. You could have it be a different form depending on how your edit works. There's a lot of different ways that you could set it up, but this is one. Hopefully it demonstrated some different techniques that you might use and ways that you might think of things when you're setting things up. The very last feature that we wanted to add is the ability to actually take the little poll, right? The ability to this page where you click on cat or dog and it logs your response and puts it as part of the results. That's our very last thing that we want to do. So we got add, create, delete, create, and update working. Now we can do little improvements, but here's an important thing. Stop long before you get to perfection. It is so easy to be like, okay, I've got, so much is wrong with this, so much is a mess, and then you can just like overwhelm yourself and just give up because it's so far from perfection. That's not your goal. Your goal is not perfection. Your goal is writing code. Writing crappy code is writing code. You have to write crappy code before you can write good code, and you'll never write perfect code. So just let that out of your mind. So we're going to be careful. We're going to do just a little bit of improvement, and then we're going to stop and just let it be what it is, and we'll deploy it to GitHub pages. But let's do that very last page because it does sound like fun, and I just want to. So I'm going to do it. This video is getting very long, and look, I don't care because I want to make my cool little poll app. That's what like double speed on YouTube is for, right? Like, even though this video is long, or you can just fast forward through it. You can skip this whole bit and skip to the GitHub pages bit, but I am gonna make this vote page because I want to. So this is gonna be a little page. I'll do a row and a column situation because that's kind of how we're doing our things. I know I'm not like using the columns very well. I'm just making it up ugly, but whatevs. Again, don't make it perfect. Just get something down there. Doesn't have to make sense. Doesn't even have to work nicely. Just get something down there. Just get your hands in some code, and then stop before it's perfect. Stop. Let it go. Let it free. But we're gonna do one last thing because I want to. We're gonna make this vote page. So I know that this vote page is gonna work a lot like the edit page, where we're gonna get a poll ID and use that to find the poll. You know, we've got a poll ID in this one as well, which means I'm gonna need that poll list over here in the vote page as well. So let me stick it in here. Poll list, there we go. Yeah, no, column's not defined. We'll get there. Yeah. We also will need to deal with responses, but let's do this first. So, let's go to our vote page, and no. Let's just copy this and put that in our vote page because we're going to need that exact same stuff. We just need to destructure out the poll list prop. And then in here, what do we want this to look like? This should like, I don't know, like in H2 have the polls question. So poll.question. And then there should be two buttons. Let's do button. Button color equals primary. And then we'll have our second button, color equals primary, and this we'll have in the text poll.answers 0. If we had a dynamic number of answers, then I'd probably map the answers to buttons. But because, again, stop before it's perfect. I'm not going to make it perfect. I'm not going to give it a dynamic number of answers. You know, maybe I can come back around to it someday, but I'm going to get it working and done in a crappy way. And then, if I have more time and feel like it, I could do more things, but I'm not going to in this video. I'm not going to touch it. Stop before it's perfect. Got my two buttons. Nope, that should be for one. So it should have the text of each answer on these buttons. And when you click on one, it should save a response with that answer. So maybe we'll make a little function here like const create response. And we need, for this response, we need to know which answer they picked. So we'll put that as a parameter right here. And then we'll put a little arrow function here. And this one we'll call create response with poll.answer0, whatever text is in there. And this other one we'll call, let's just copy this. We'll call create response with poll.answers1. Everything is mad at me. Create response, call and button. Everything is wrong. Row, call, button. Okay. Am I having too much fun? Yes and no. Wait, no. I mean no. No, I'm not. This is the correct amount of fun. Okay. Create response, answer. Let's see here. So now this needs to like save that. Remember our test data over here? We need to save that in here, which means that this needs to be dynamic data that can be changed. We haven't even shown this data yet, too. We need to do that as well. Because this needs to be dynamic data that can change, we need to put it in state somewhere. We probably don't want to put it in vote page because then we could run into that problem. Then we can run into that little problem where if the response list is here in vote page, we couldn't get it over to home page or something like that. So we probably want to put that data also up here in app. So we'll do response list, and then we can pass things down to vote page and potentially pass them down to home page as well. We'll see. So let's put that up in app.js. Let's make this const response list, set response list equals useState. Was it test responses? Test responses. There we go, just to preload it. And then we're going to need a const create response, which is going to take in the response data, new response data probably. what we'll call this, new response data, and it is going to, we're just going to do this again, honestly. It's going to be like identical to this. But it's going to be new response instead of new poll. And, oh, we need a new thing to make IDs. Let's do let next response ID equal, what have we done? I'll just do 20 just to make sure. We'll do this one's next poll ID. I'll update this to say next poll ID right here, and update this to say next response ID right here so they don't get mad at each other. Set response list, response list dot concat new response. It's going to work just the same. Now we can give this down to the response page. Let's do on respond. We'll do that. That's just how I like to name things. It kind of like mimics like an HTML thing, you know? I don't know. I just like it. So on respond equals create response, and pass that down there, and then on this vote page, we will take their answer and make a little new response data. Equals a new little object here where the answer will be, they said right there, answer, what else? Oh, it needs the poll ID as well, so we'll give it the poll ID. The ID it's going to get over from app.js, so we just need to give it the poll ID as well. Poll ID will be whatever is in that poll ID. It's a little thing we got from the param. So, and then we'll just call, what was it? It was on respond. On respond, we'll destructure that respond. We'll destructure that out, call on respond, and give it that new response data. Hopefully that should work. I know this is going to bug me, so let's just make this look a little bit nicer. Just for now, I'm going to wrap these in the div, because I bet it's going to work well for me later. What did I do? Come back here. Do that to me. Okay. All right, div. Just for funsies, we'll wrap these in a div, so they're kind of on their own line. And I will give this div a class name of marginy3 or something like that. I don't know. That might look nice. We'll see. This might need a little something at the top. Top 2, top 3, I don't know. Let's just try that and see what it looks like. Okay, so if we go to 3000 /0 /poll /0 /vote, let's see. Yeah, this looks good. And then you could click on one of these, is the idea. Gorgeous. We do need, well, just nitpicking. I just got to nitpick real quick. Okay. We do need in the poll card another button that takes you to the vote page. Let's do vote. And this will be plus poll says whatever /vote. And I don't know, let's give this a different color. Primary? I don't know. Okay, so now we've got a button for deleting, editing, and voting that should take us to this vote page that will then allow you to click on one, and when you click one, it should create a response and add that to all the responses. But we're not actually seeing them right now. So let's make it so that you can see them. One thing I'm thinking is that rather than the poll card just like saying what the possible answers are, it should show what the current results are for that answer. So how should we do this? Let's just take this out. We're improving little by little. We got something in there that worked in the beginning. Now we're going to improve it a little bit. So right here, it should show like a little progress bar maybe for how many votes something has gotten. So, well, is there a progress bar component? Progress from Reactstrap. Perfect. I actually don't know what that looks like. Let's go look at the documentation. I spend a lot of time in documentation when I'm making things. Progress. What do you look like? That's what I need. I need that. Progress value equals, and you just give it a value. Awesome. It looks like you give it, like by default, you can just give it a value from like 0 to 100. So we could kind of give it the value of like what % of the votes went to this vote, and that should work for us, I think. So it's a self-closing element, so we don't need an end tag. We can just do this. And we're going to set the value equal to something. I'm just going to set it to 50 for now. And we'll do a second one. Can we give us a little bit of name equals y2? Something to space that a little bit between the two of these. So this one should show what % of the responses are for for the first answer, and this should show what percentage of the responses are for the second answer. We probably want to put the answer in front of it though, huh? So like in front of this, it should say like poll.answer 0, and then show the progress bar? That's what I'm thinking. We might need to mess around a bit to get it to do such a thing. Let's put these in a div. I am noticing is that I'm starting to maybe repeat the same code twice, which makes me think that maybe I should pull this out into its own component rather than repeat the same code twice. This class name is maybe going to go on here. So I'm going to keep an eye on that because it's basically like I'm going to do some calculations to like figure out what percentage to make this. I'm going to show the thing, and maybe I should just make a component for this. In fact, I am going to do it. Let's do response bar. Response bar. That's all I can think of. We're going response bar. It doesn't have to be perfect. Response bar. So then in this poll card thing here, we can do 2 response bars. I'm going to take this thing that I started doing here and pull it into this response bar thing. So we'll do a response bar and another response bar, and let's figure out what those response bars will need. Let's throw this in here. So it will need the particular answer that we care about. So let's do answer right here, meaning over here in poll card, this one will have answer set to poll.answers 0, and this one will have answer set to poll.answers 1. And it's going to need all the responses for this poll so that it can figure out what percentage that is. So it's going to need all responses. Let's do response. Let's do poll responses. We don't have a variable that's called poll responses yet, but I'm about to make one. So we need to go get all the responses. We need some variable poll responses that should be just the responses for this poll, but we don't have those, so we're going to need those responses. Let's call this response list. So we need to pass down to poll card the response list, which means we got to go down the whole chain here. Let's do that. So way up in app.js, we have all the responses. We need to pass that down to homepage, because that's where we're using this poll card. So response list equals response list. Now in homepage, I need to destructure out a response list prop, and then down here on poll card, I need to give a response list prop and just pass that down again. Let's take this, put it right in here, put in another prop called response list on the poll card, and now over here on, where are you, poll card? Over here on poll card, I can now destructure out that response list and use it here. I can say, hey, response list, and you got all the responses. I don't want all of them. I only want responses where the response.poll ID equals this poll's ID. That's all I want. So now it'll be just this poll's responses, and we can give that over to the response bar component. What are we mad at? We don't need this progress guy anymore here. Instead, over on our response bar component, we need to import progress. There we go. So it's going to have the answer and what do we call all responses? All responses. So now we need to know what percentage of all these responses are this answer. And this gets like a little tricky. This is like a little mathy trickiness. But so you don't need to get stressed about this. But it's kind of fun, so I'm going to do it. We are going to figure out this answer responses. How many of those do we got? So we're going to go to all of the responses. We're going to filter it by responses where the response.answer equals the answer that we're looking at right now. And then we're just going to grab the length. And that is going to num responses for answer. We'll do that. Num responses for answer. So this is all the responses that are this answer. The length of that array is going to be how many are that answer. Now let's get a percentage. Let's do const percentage, that is going to be, how do you calculate responses? The number with that answer divided by all responses.length. So the number of responses for that one divided by how many responses are there total. That I think is going to do it. And then we set the value to this percentage. Oh, we probably need to like times it by 100 though. So let's like do this situation and like times it by 100. So that this will like give us like 0.37 or whatever, and then we'll times it by 100 and get 37%. And then we'll put it in here. I don't know. That's my thought on how we can get the right number to show here and the right stuff to show here. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna do like a span here. Let's see what this could look like. What could this look like here? I might need to do some fancy CSS here. Let's see though. Let's try this. Class name, margin, and 2, just so they're not shoved up against each other. Let's see what that looks like. Oh wow, it looks so pretty. It's a bunch of errors. Okay, cannot read properties of undefined reading filter at poll card line 9. Ooh, let's go see. Poll card line 9. Response list is undefined. Poll card is getting used in, well, in fact, we can check. When you get errors in React, this won't be very helpful here, but if you come down here, the above error occurred in the poll card component. It will tell you like where it came from. So it's a poll card getting used in a div, and a call, and a div, and a row in homepage. So I need to go on homepage and see if homepage is giving poll card that response list prop, because it's saying it doesn't have it here. So if we go to homepage, response list equals response list. Let's go up one. On homepage, did homepage get response list? Homepage response list equals response list. State test responses. Test responses is stuff. I need to go look in the other one. So now I'm going to go look in here. Well, let me guess. Okay. I'm going to see where do we lose it? Where did we lose such a thing? If we go into, let's go. Let's showing vote page. Let's refresh. Come on, will you show up to me? Oh, wait, it came in. Well, never mind then. Sometimes you just have to refresh it. Look at that. Cat, dog, yes, definitely. I think that looks good. Wait, let's see. Cat looks like 1/4 and dog looks like 3/4. Yes looks like 1/3 and definitely looks like 2/3. That looks right. 3 dogs, 1 cat, 2 definitely's, 1 yes. Yeah, baby. So it's working. Is it the most beautiful thing of all time? No, but it's beautiful to me. It's so beautiful to me. This is working, and now if we click on the vote thing, you should be able to vote for cat. I'm gonna hit cat twice, and now if I come over here, cat has caught up to dog, baby. And if I come over here and click cat 3 times, cat is outstripping dog by a mile, and it's working. The only thing we want is that when you vote, we don't want you to just like keep voting, because people would be like, oh, it didn't work, and just keep tapping that thing. So probably when you vote, we want it to then show you that poll. Maybe we should have it redirect to a page, like polls/0 when you vote, and then it will just show you information about that poll. Let's do that. So we got one more page to make. Let's just make that. This will just be the poll page. Poll results page. And now it will, it probably won't take any, I don't need to take a props of the whole poll list and the response list probably, and it will just show the results of the poll, is what I'm thinking. And we can just use that poll card again, like there's no reason not to. Let's just put the poll card right here. Like, why not? I don't know. I feel good about it. Let's just put poll card right here, and then we need to give it the particular poll, so we're gonna have to do one of these things again, because this is going to work off of a URL param, so we'll do this situation again. I know we're repeating code, and there is ways to not repeat it, but I'm not gonna worry about it. So poll card, the poll will be a poll, and the response list will be the response list. I think that's all that poll card needs. Wait, let me check. Where are you, poll card? On delete. What if I gave this a prop so that you could not show these buttons? So you could show or not show these buttons, because we probably don't want to show these buttons to people that just voted. So let's do show buttons. And now we'll throw these in the div. These in the div, and we'll only show this div if show buttons is true. And one way that we can do that, that's a really common way to do this, is to use the and operator. So we'll do show buttons and this little div situation here. And what that will do, it's using short-circuiting of Boolean logic. But basically, if show buttons is true, it will spit out this div. If show buttons is false, it'll spit out false, which just doesn't show up. So now it'll only show the buttons if we tell it to, which means when we show the buttons on the home page, when we show a pull card on the home page, we'll do show buttons equals true. We want to see the buttons there. But when we're on this like pull results page, we'll do show buttons equals false. You could also probably just leave it off and that would do essentially the same thing, but I'm just going to explicitly say false because I just want to. I don't know, let's see what that does. Let's go to our app.js. This might be the last step, baby. Let's see, we'll make one more route. This one will just be that pull ID. Should like, I don't know, organize these slightly or something. There we go, kind of. And then this will go to pull results page, and it will have the pull list and the response list, and I think that's all it needs. Pull list, response list. There we go. Pull results page is not defined. Let's see. Perfect. Nope. Pull results page, use params. We'll import that. Happy? Okay. Let's see if our pull results page works. Let's go to our home page. That looks fine. It has the buttons. But now, if we go to, I'm just going to click this for a second. Redo/pull/0. Yeah, it just shows the results. This could be really good. This could be really good. Last thing we need to do is one, stop my annoyance at it running up against it. Margin top 3. I don't know. And last thing we need to do is on the vote page, when they respond, we need to navigate. So let's do, let's throw it here, const navigate equals use navigate. And when they respond to something, we need to navigate to /polls/ and then we need the ID plus pull ID. And that's it, huh? That's it. Let's try that. Okay. So we got our poll app. If you go to the vote page on this and you click yes, hey, it takes you here. And then you can see now they're even. If I click yes again, now it's gone up one. Go to the vote page again, yes again, or whatever. So now you could theoretically share this link and then they can vote and see what the results are right now. I think we got ourselves a working app. We can make an app. Is this app working? And the answers are like a charm and like, no, there's a hidden bug you're about to find. Create, and then we can vote, and of course this is the answer because that's always the answer. It's very much the answer, but somebody is hopeful and thinks that maybe it's working. It does look like it's working though. It does look like it's working though. And if we edit this and say no, but almost, and save it, we can see now it has nothing because the way this works is that it saves, in fact we can see this here, it saves the response like literally as the text, so if you change it, it will not line up anymore. Probably not ideal. Guess what? I'm not going to fix it. Maybe later. Maybe another time. But stop before it's perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect. Get it kind of working. And then, once it's all working, if you feel like it, sure, fix one thing. Improve one thing. And then once you've done that and it's fully working again, if you feel like it, fix one more thing, improve one more thing. But don't get bogged down in everything. It's kind of great, it's fine. So, we have got a fully working app. Woo! Last thing I want to do is I do want to convert this over to Redux and show you what this could look like in Redux. All right, this shouldn't be too complicated here. I'm just going to put my slices in here. I am going to need a a response slice, and I am going to need a poll slice. Shouldn't get too crazy. Let's do const poll slice equals create slice. We give it an object with a name, which is going to be polls, and an initial value, which is just going to be an object that has a poll list that will be those test polls, because why not? Let's have it preload with the test polls. It just makes it easier to test things. And then it's going to have some reducers. And so we've essentially pulled in this bit. This bit gets now been pulled in. We can take that out for just a second here. We're not going to need this anymore. And now we need reducers for all the ways that we are creating, updating, deleting polls. So all this now comes into our poll slice here. Can't look like this though. They have to be this ID to delete goes in the action payload, so it's going to be state and action. Instead of ID to delete right here, we'll put action.payload. And instead of doing set poll list, we'll do state.poll list, which will be this thing right here, equals that filtered version of it. And then this create poll one, I'll fix the indentation in just a second here. Again, the new poll data won't be new poll data, it'll instead be in the action payload. So we'll do action.payload right here. And instead of doing set poll list, we can do this poll list.concat, but we could also just do, sorry, this needs to be state.polllist, my bad. We could also just do state.polllist.push, because in Redux Toolkit, you can directly change the state. It's very exciting. So we need a comma there. We need a comma here, and then update poll. We will just change this so that updated poll data will be in the action.payload. So we'll do state action, and then do state.polllist. We probably don't need to, this, honestly, this might be the easiest way. Just, why change it? Again, doesn't have to be perfect. State.polllist equals state.polllist.map, all this good stuff, but this will be action.payload.id, and this will be action.payload. And I will break this out to make it a little bit more readable. There we go. I don't know. That's kind of readable to me. Whatever your brain likes. My brain kind of likes that for some reason, so I'm going with that. It's like this is a little check, and then it's either this one or this one. I don't know. My brain likes it. Ooh, let's put that down here though. Wait, what do we? That's the end of the map. I don't know what this one is. Go away. Yeah, we'll go with that. So let's fix our indentation. There we go. All right, so we've now got our three reducers: delete poll, create poll, and an update poll, and that will hopefully work. So now we just need to export our crap. Let's do const poll reducer equals poll slice dot reducer, and do const and get our action creators: delete poll, create poll, update poll equals poll slice dot actions. Okay, I think that's our poll slice. Let's do our response slice. I'm actually gonna copy this whole thing and then just do a bunch of changes to it. So this will be test responses. This will be response slice. This will say responses. This will say response list and test responses. Okay, and then we won't have these anymore. Instead, well, in fact, the create one is actually going to be very similar. So maybe instead of going and copying it over there, I'm just going to change this because it's going to be so similar. Response list equals push new response. And I'll change this to say new response. Oh, we need to pull that next poll ID and stuff in here. Let me go grab that actually. Next response ID. Ooh, did I grab that? Next response ID will go up here, and next poll ID will go up here. Perfect. This create response, I already basically copied that, so we're good. That's already in the slice now, so don't need this useState anymore. Our app component has cleaned up very nicely. We also no longer need to pass any of these props down. We're not going to need to anymore because all of that is now going to come from Redux instead. So this cleans way up. Look at how clean this is now. This is the benefit of Redux. Okay, looking good. That's our app.js. We're finishing up a response slice. Oh, let me finish this. Remember what I'm doing. Response slice.reducer, and then we just need one that says create response. Response, and I should say response slice. We should have done like a find and replace. That would have been very smart of me, but I just didn't. Create response. Next response ID. Let's see how that is. We need to hook these into the store, so we'll do responses and we'll do response reducer. Is that what I called it? Oh, I didn't export these. Silly. Export. And over here, let's export those. Export. And export. Okay, how do we feel now? What do we think? Let's see, response reducer. Okay, there we go. And, ooh, don't do that. Comma and polls, and we'll do poll reducer. Okay. Hook that into our store, should be all good there. Now we just need to hook up everywhere. This top bar doesn't care. We should need to hook up anywhere that uses any information, which is basically like all the pages. Poll card does as well. Okay. Homepage needs to get the poll list now from Redux. So let's get that from Redux. Const poll list equals use selector. We are going to select from the entire state. We are going to go into the polls area and get the whole poll list. And we got that now. We're also going to need the response list, so we're going to do that same thing. Well, actually, we don't need the response list because we're only passing it down. And things that we are only passing down no longer have to be all mixed up in here. The on delete, we're also only just passing down, so we're going to get rid of that. We don't need that no more. Homepage doesn't need any props anymore. We're just going to select the poll list and map it to poll cards and let other things deal with crap from there. So, it's so beautiful. I do love Redux. Okay, homepage done. Oh, create slice was not. Raponi slice is not defined. Shocking. Response slice, and we need to import create slice. Do we need that over here too? Yes, we need to import create slice here too. Okay. All right. Happier. Okay, that was the home page. Let's deal with the poll card. The poll card's still going to get a poll because it needs to know which exact one. But it no longer needs to get this response list and on delete. Instead, we'll get that from Redux. So, in fact, we will just get this directly from Redux. So we'll do const poll responses equals use selector, go into the whole state, do state.responses.responselist.filter, and go get the one that we want. And now we should just get those poll responses from Redux. It's mad at so many things. Okay, delete. We need that as well. So we need to be able to say, hey, if you click this button, delete something. How do we do that in Redux? We need the dispatch function. We'll just throw it up here. And then we need to dispatch the action creator called delete poll. Import that in poll slice. Give it the poll ID as the payload. So we are dispatching the action that is created by this action creator with the payload poll.id. And now we should be good there. Are we happier? Yeah, we're happier. Okay. Poll card's done. Probably done. Go away. Let's do poll results page. We no longer need to give the poll card the response list. We still need to go get a particular poll, though. We do still need to do that. We don't need this poll list anymore, but we do still need to go get a particular poll by its ID. What I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to place that right there. Now, remember how we had, we have, the same code in, a lot of places? create page doesn't use it. In fact, create page doesn't use any data. So okay. Oh, actually it does. It does the on submit. We need to fix that one. But remember how we're sort of using the same thing in a lot of places? This one won't do this for a second here. Yeah, that one won't need any data, so go away. Okay. We can pull this out so that we're not using it in so many places. So we're not doing the same thing in so many places. We can pull this out into one spot. So we're still going to need this. We got to get from these programs. But let's think about this. If we do const pull equals and we do the selector, so now we're going into the state and getting state.polls.polllist.find, the poll with the particular ID where we parse the poll ID or whatever. What if, well, we can basically now copy this one line into all these spots, but it's not great to have the same line in a bunch of places. What if we switch up how this works? So what we can do actually, what we can do actually is this little function right here, we can pull this out. Let's pull out this function and put it in here. We'll just put it down here. Export, maybe I'll put it under these. I don't know. Let's good. Export const select poll by string ID. And it'll take in a string ID and, or no, sorry. Yes, it's gonna be a little fancy. So this is gonna be a function that takes in a string ID and spits out this function. And instead of putting poll ID right here, we're gonna put string ID right here. So this is a function that you give it a string ID and it's going to spit out a selecting function. What that will allow us to do is, right here we can do select, oh, did I export it? No, I did. Select poll by string ID, okay. We could call this create poll by string ID selector. Because this is going to be a function that creates a selecting function. So we can do use selector and we can do create poll by string ID selector and give it that poll ID. Now we've pulled that out so that like the meat of what was happening in here is in one spot. So if we ever need to change it, we can. And now we can just copy it into all these places. And it just cuts down a little bit on code duplication, so that should be good. This one just needs the on submit fixed. This one, I think it's done. That's all that was happening there. So I will close that one out. This one's got a little bit more. We need to fix the on respond. We don't need this poll list anymore. We shouldn't. Yeah, we shouldn't need that poll list anymore. Okay. All right. We just need to fix these like on submit situations here. So this one, instead of getting the on submit from above, is going to have its own little on submit right here. Let's do const on submit equals, and it's going to be a little oops, what am I doing? It's going to be a little function here that's going to take in, let's see, it's going to take in the new poll data, and I'm going to see, maybe I'll mix this around, but it's going to dispatch, sorry, I need to pull that in, const dispatch equals use dispatch, and it's going to dispatch the create poll action that is created with the new poll data. So in fact, I can just make this one line right here. And now on submit will be that on submit. And very similarly, on the edit page, the on submit is going to be the updated poll data now. And it's going to dispatch update poll with the updated poll data. Let's just import update poll. There we go. Okay, and then this submit will be this on submit, so we no longer need those props. That one no longer needs those props. Okay, get those. Boop, boop, boop. These got cleaned up a lot. They're much tidier. Okay, that's just for funsies. Yeah, we'll just put that all in line. I don't know. Is that crazy? What else? So close that out. The vote page, I think that's the last one we need to do. So instead of doing on respond here, we need to dispatch the, we need to import it. We're gonna do const dispatch equals use dispatch. Thank you very much. Now we will dispatch the create response action creator with the new response data as a payload. So we will dispatch the results of calling the create response action creator with the new response data as the payload, dispatch that action, which should create a response with that data, and then we'll navigate to here. No longer need this on respond here. Did we? That's the question. Looks like we have a lot of importing to do because I always forget to import. Am I importing that? Create poll by string ID selector. I can go grab it from somewhere. Where did I use that poll results page? The selector needs to be imported. Poll edit page. There we go. This is what I need imported from other places. Okay, did we import use selector here? Probably not. But over here we need to import this guy, not the update poll bit, just this guy. Doesn't want to auto import for some reason, so I will force it to. And this guy, there we go. What are we thinking? Dispatch is not defined. Where's that poll edit page? We need the dispatch function. Const dispatch equals use dispatch. How do you like that better? We're liking that better. What about the poll create page? That one's gonna need, oh, I'm already doing it there. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Okay. All right, maybe working. Let's see. That's not a good sign. Let's refresh it. What do we think? What are we thinking? The slice reducer for key responses returned undefined during initialization. Whoa. I have a typo somewhere is what I would say in the response reducer. Let's go look. Got a typo somewhere. Let's see. Response slice, create slice, name responses. That might be the problem. Store.js, responses, polls, response slice, responses, response list. That, maybe? Let's see. No. Slice reducer for key responses returned undefined during initialization. See, pass reducer is undefined. You must explicitly return the initial state. Initial state may not be undefined. Ooh, okay. So I think it's probably a problem with the initial. It's probably initial value. This should be initial state. Let's look at the poll one as well. I bet it's wrong there as well. Initial state. Yeah, it was a problem with that area, and it was a typo. Oh my goodness. Do we have maybe a working app? Let's see. Can we delete things? Yes. Can we create new things? New thing. Yeah, that looks good. Can we vote on stuff? Cat. Maximum call stack exceeded. That's exciting. We have got the vote page. Looks like it's calling itself. Ooh, I know what's happening. This is one I've done before. So if we go to the vote page, here's what I did. Right here, I'm trying to call the create response from like poll slice on my action creator, but I named this one create response. So it's going round in circles. Let's call this on create. I don't know. On response click. Let's try that. On or like handle response click, handle response click. It's just what my brain is liking. We'll rename this to handle response click. That way this function won't call itself on accident. Handle response click. I have done that before. And we need to make sure we're importing that create response action creator from, oh, we need to import that from the response slice, not the poll slice. There we go, from the response slice. There we go. Okay, what are we thinking now? If we refresh this, it's going to get rid of our old stuff over there. But now if we come in here and do vote and click cat, that looks good. If we come in here and vote for cat again, is that voting? It doesn't look like it's voting. It doesn't look like it's changing it. It's I have the Redux tools over here. Ooh, it looks like we are hitting a create response action, it's getting dispatched. But is it making a response each time? Ooh, okay, look at this, look at this. It looks like it is, but see how this one says poll ID 1 and this one says poll ID string 0? That is our problem. If the poll ID is string 0, it won't get selected to show up over here. So we've got to fix that. When create response is getting dispatched, it's ending up with a string poll ID. So it dispatches it. Poll ID, we're just passing it straight through. I changed this up so that I didn't turn it into a number and I just passed it straight through here, which means if I'm going to do that, I've got to parse this into an int right here. Okay, that might have fixed that. That is now fixed. Where am I? Let's try again. Let's try again. I'm going to refresh this to just get a starting thing here. Now if I come in here to vote and hit yes, that looks much better. And now the one that just got added has a good number on it. This is the Redux Developer Tools extension for Chrome, by the way. I'll put a link to that under the video. Now I can vote for yes a bunch of times, and I can see that is like shifting that bar, and I can vote for definitely, and that will shift the bar back towards definitely, so that is working. I can delete. Can I edit? Stuff, cat stuff, I don't know. Save. No, did not update poll. Let's see, let's take a look at it. What's your favorite animal? That seems to not have updated at all. Let's take a look at the action. So in the payload, it put this, in the payload it did put the updated data, but that updated data did not actually end up in the new state. There's no difference between the two. Did not actually update the state. So I need to go look in my reducer for update poll and make sure that what is in that action payload is actually getting put into the state. So let's go to poll slice and this update one. State.poll is equals a state.poll is that's mapped to, ooh, you know what? I bet that this ID, wait. I wonder if that ID is doing that thing again where it's a string. You know, like the problem in the last one. Let's see, what was it? It was poll edit page. Yeah, I bet it is. Wait, updated poll data. Let me see. Oh, am I not giving it the ID at all? Wait, let's see. Edit ID, yep, I'm giving it a string one instead of its parse int. Turn this into a number so we don't have that problem again. All right, y'all, let's see. This is how we make software. It's just a bunch of bugs and you slowly fix them. Okay, let's do edit, throw crap on the end, and do save. And yes, now it is saving. Now it's actually updating the data and putting that in there. Awesome. So delete works, creation works. Yeah, I didn't name the second one. Edit works and voting works. And I think that's everything. When you vote, it takes you to that like nice page. The app is now working again with Redux. You absolutely could have built this from the start with Redux and just written this code from the start, basically. I just wanted to show it in both ways and show kind of the translation over to Redux just for fun, just because I wanted to. I don't know. I did it. All right, so last step is deploy to GitHub pages. Let's do it. If you go to the Create React App Documentation, you can find an area for deployment, and you can go to the GitHub Pages section, and it walks you through how to do this. So, first thing we need to do is add a homepage to package.json. We are not going to be doing a custom domain or GitHub user page. We're going to be doing, this is the normal way to do it. So I'm just going to copy this line and add it to my package.json, So I'm just going to come in here somewhere, I don't know, right here, why not? Add that line and fix it so that it's my GitHub username, not a Faye, and so it's the name of this app, which I think, I named the repository poll app demo. By the way, I totally forgot to be adding committing along the way. That would have been smart. and I did not do it. So yeah. Let's make a new terminal over here though. Git add now. Git commit. The whole shebang. Should have been added committing at every step. Didn't do it. And we can do git push -u. We don't need -u anymore. Origin main. Push it up to a repository. Beautiful. Anyways, that's unrelated to this, but it's now up in the repository. Good stuff. Something I should have been doing the whole time. Adding, committing, pushing. Every time I got a little bit done. So we've added this bit in. Now let's go to the next step. Install GitHub pages and add deploy to scripts in package.json. So we got to do this npm install. And we're going to -s save. I guess, I don't know. Whatever. We'll do that. And we'll just paste that in right here. We'll install that. Let that do its thing. And now we need this bit. This one is weirdly hard to copy because if you copy this, it's going to give you like this whole chunk, which is not helpful. We just need these 2 bits to go before start. And we don't want the pluses. That's just like trying to indicate to you to add those 2 lines. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. So we're going to grab these 2 lines here. And then over in here, we're going to drop them in, but it's going to drop in that stupid plus. So we're just going to get rid of that. Like, what is that garbage? And now we're good there, and that has installed. So we are not doing a GitHub user page, and I recommend you don't. And now we just have to run npm run deploy and then set it up on the GitHub side. So coming over here, we'll do npm run deploy. That should do its nice thing, and now we can go over to the GitHub side. And we go to settings and pages, and we can now do deploy from branch. And look, it already did this for me. GitHub pages, because it saw I did that. And now it should be deployed. Yeah. So if I copy this sucker right here, and drop that in there. Oop, I'm not there yet. Pull up demo. It can take a bit. Take a bit to be ready. But it does seem to be doing deploy from branch. We're all good there. GitHub pages, all good there. Root, yeah. It can just take a minute. It can take a minute to happen. Well, it says your GitHub page site is currently being built. I don't know. I think that might mean it's currently working on it. All right, there we go. It is up. But we've got an issue here. I don't know if it'll say anything. React Router does not play nicely with GitHub pages. So we've got to change it to a hash router, and that will fix this issue. You can actually see that over here. Ignore that. Notes on client-side routing. For example, React Router. So there's 2 options. You can switch it to hashes. This isn't like the best possible way to do that, but it's quick and dirty and we'll get it done. That link doesn't work anymore. Embarrassing. For them, not for me. That's what we're going to do. We're going to switch it to hash router, and I know it doesn't like say anything right here, but I know how to do that, so I'll show you. All you have to do is go to your index.js and change this browser router to a hash router. What are you doing? Hash router. And this to hash router, and then make sure you're importing hash router instead of browser router. Then we've got to git run deploy again. Oops. npm run deploy. npm run deploy. Let that do its thing. And just for funsies, I will also git add, git commit, and git push. To make sure. You see I've got some yellow files now, and I want those all to be white, meaning that everything is pushed and up to date. So I don't think you need this for the deploying to work correctly, but I just want to do it in general. Fixed or deploy pages. Push. Okay, just to have all my code up there. It can take a minute to work. You can see it says that I last deployed 4 minutes ago, even though I just deployed like 30 seconds ago. So I might sit here and refresh until, there we go, 1 minute ago. Now it has updated. So now if I refresh it, yes, now it is working because now it's using the hash router. Now if I do delete, that worked. If I do edit, you can see there's a little hash right here. That's what the hash router is. It just gets, it makes it so that GitHub Pages ignores this bit because of the hash, which is perfect. Then just React Router can pay attention to it. We can make changes to things, do save, that's all working. We can do vote and pick yes, blah, blah, blah. To pull that vote. Because I changed the names of these, they have nothing until because that's how our app works. I can make a new one and do create, and it is all working. Woohoo! Oh, look, because they're the same, they just take it together. Because again, it's purely based off of what text is on that button. And again, not the best possible way, but you know, I can fix that later if I feel like it. For now, that's fine. It's good enough. This is my beautiful app. It is deployed to GitHub Pages. The point is not how great is the app. The point is, look at all this code I wrote. Look at all the debugging that I did. Look at all the problem solving I had to do. Look at all the thinking about components I had to do. That is the point of all this, that I had to write gobs of code. Not if my app is perfect, not if it looks pretty, not if it works really great, but getting all that practice with React. Anyways, this video is egregiously long, but hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully all that link did something, and this was helpful when you are trying to make things to kind of show you a process that you could use. Go out there and make dumb crap and stop before it's perfect.